The sun glistened over the serene Galilean landscape, with rolling hills blanketed in green. A gentle breeze rustled the olive trees as Jesus led Peter, James, and John up a lofty mountain. The path wound upward, and as they climbed, the world below seemed to fade, leaving only the tranquility of the heights and the presence of the Master. At the summit, he said to his disciples, "Wait here, while I go and pray." Then he went up further while his disciples stopped to rest. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered. Suddenly, Jesus stood apart. His appearance began to change. His face shone like the sun, radiating an unearthly brilliance, and his garments became dazzling white, gleaming as no earthly launderer could bleach them. The disciples shielded their eyes, awestruck by the transformation before them. Then out of the luminous glory, two figures appeared: Moses, the great lawgiver, and Elijah, the fiery prophet of old. They conversed with Jesus, their presence affirming his divine mission. The disciples watched in silent amazement, recognizing these figures who embodied the law and the prophets. Overwhelmed, Peter spoke, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." His words, though earnest, betrayed his inability to fully grasp the moment's significance. While he was speaking, a cloud appeared and covered them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. And from within the cloud came a voice like rolling thunder, yet tender. "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." The disciples fell face down in reverence and fear, trembling before the majesty of God's presence. As the cloud lifted, Jesus approached the disciples, his touch gentle, his voice reassuring. "Rise and do not be afraid." When they looked up, they saw only Jesus. Moses and Elijah had gone, leaving the quiet mountain once more. As they descended the mountain, Jesus instructed them, "Do not tell anyone what you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." The disciples walked in reflective silence, their hearts forever marked by the glimpse of his divine glory. The Transfiguration revealed to us a glimpse of the glory that Jesus had, and the glory that he would share with all who took up the cross to follow him. The Transfiguration not only supports the identity of Jesus as the Son of God, as in his baptism, but the statement, "Listen to him," identifies him as the messenger and mouthpiece of God. The significance of this identification is enhanced by the presence of Elijah and Moses, for it indicates to the apostles that Jesus is the voice of God par excellence. And instead of Moses or Elijah, representing the law and the prophets, he should be listened to, surpassing the laws of Moses by virtue of his divinity and filial relationship with God. Thank you for watching the Bible story of the Transfiguration of Christ on Mount Tabor. I know it makes you feel good and spiritual. Well, that is religion for you. You will soon discover that all this good feeling of spirituality is built on falsehood. Continue watching. We will uncover the falsehood behind the Transfiguration of Christ. Last week, we uncovered a fundamental secret hidden in the Bible, which is that Christ did not go to the wilderness in order to pray and fast for 40 days. We established the fact that the opposite was indeed the case. In the wilderness, he was trained to become irreligious and non-spiritual. That is a fact. If you have not watched that video, subscribe to this channel now. Then visit our channel to watch the video. It is titled, "The Baptism of Jesus" by John the Baptist. That video is very fundamental to the understanding of subsequent secrets in the Bible. Here is this week's hidden secret. Keep in mind that miracles are applied science beyond our present understanding. Strictly speaking, miracles do not exist, but ignorance. Science was at a 0 level in the Bible days. For example, anointing oil was customarily applied to the sick to promote healing, while people with frequent illnesses and stomach conditions were advised to drink wine to restore good health. Such was their level of medical science. They were really primitive people, no question about that. Then came Jesus, who became the greatest scientist of his days after his 40 days of training in the wilderness. With his knowledge of applied science, he mesmerized his audience with miracles in his healing ministry. We have been made to believe that the Transfiguration revealed to us a glimpse of the glory that Jesus had, showing that he is the true Son of God. Also that the presence of Moses and Elijah confirms it. With utmost due respect, this is laughable. Nothing can be further from the truth. It is important to note that after his post-baptism meeting with his guests in the wilderness, he secretly maintained regular contacts with them in the guise of praying alone in the wilderness. Occasionally, for the fear of wild animals and night criminals, he visited his guests in the company of Peter, James, and John. But he would always make sure they were at a good distance away, not to observe his meetings with his guests. "Wait for me here while I go and pray," he would say, and then disappeared for hours, only to come back to find them sleeping. With this method, he was able to maintain secret, regular contacts with his guests in the wilderness for a long time, mainly for the purposes of training, advice, and comfort. This went on successfully until the event of his Transfiguration on the mountain. So, what really happened on the mountain? Simple. His secret was exposed when, at night, the alien spaceship beamed light on him, revealing two strange beings by his side, conversing with him. In their religious mentality, the disciples wrongly deduced the two strange beings to be Moses and Elijah. The truth is that what they saw were aliens from outer space in conversation with Jesus. They did not see Moses and Elijah. The alien spaceship even hovered above them, casting a thick shadow and white cloud over them. This terrified them as they trembled and fell face down. Yet they were too primitive and gullible to understand what was going on. Keep in mind that these primitive people were not used to seeing brilliant white light emanating from advanced technology. Therefore, what we know today as transfiguration was indeed a brilliant white light from an alien spaceship shown on Jesus at night. Let me repeat, Transfiguration of Christ is a misrepresentation of a brilliant white light at night pointed at Jesus emanating from an alien spaceship. As they were leaving the scene, Jesus cautioned his disciples, "Don't tell anyone what you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." Before his arrest, Jesus was in desperate need of comfort and advice. So in one day at the Garden of Gethsemane, he visited his alien friends 3 times according to the book of Mark, chapter 14, verse 32 to 43. On each occasion, he came back to find Peter, James, and John sleeping. In fact, throughout his ordeal leading to his crucifixion, the aliens were close by monitoring every activity to ensure that everything went according to plan. Thanks for watching. Please help share this video to keep people well informed. The world is full of misinformation, and nowhere is it more pronounced and dangerous than in religion. Help fight this menace. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I want you to be the first to receive our publications every week. The source of this information is the spirituality in science. Once again, thanks for watching.